Welcome back to Tarot by the Bay. I'm David. Okay, I posted up on the community page asking for topics to read on. There's nothing compelling in the news. It's 4 o'clock on Saturday afternoon here in California. So go to the community page and see what people are asking. One of the highest voted up questions was this. What are the 6 Supreme Court justices feeling since they're ruling on absolute immunity and since the news about Biden and Kamala? This is from Sophia 9589. Thank you, Sophia. Good question. General context, the Supreme Court, in an effort to delay Donald Trump's court cases and give him political immunity to them, ruled that basically presidents are kings. And you have presidential acts for which presidents are immune from criminal prosecution. You have constitutional acts, which is something new that they came up with, that, basically like a president could sell pardons for $10 million a pop, and that wouldn't be criminal. I guess maybe they're trying to tell us something about Donald Trump and Rudy Giuliani and their pay-to-play scheme for pardons. And then personal acts would not get presidential immunity, but you can't use any evidence or information from presidential acts to support the non-presidential acts, which is ridiculous. That would be like pleading the fifth and getting immunity for Fifth Amendment type stuff, but then saying, well, you can't talk about what you were pleading on the fifth on, even if you've got immunity for it. Yeah, you can't perjure yourself. Anyways, all these rulings work really, really well if you get a Republican in office, because then they can just anoint themselves kings as a presidential act and there's no criminal immunity, and they surround themselves with a bunch of loyalists who would allow the president to be king, which is alarming considering Donald Trump was just telling Christians in Florida that they just have to get out and vote for him this year. If they do that, they don't ever have to vote again. What does that mean? Basically, that you'll install yourself as president for life, and you'll have, your chosen heirs and successors, such that Democrats will never get political foothold again. That's how I translate that. That's the most reasonable translation. That's why you would never have to vote again. Lovely. What a lovely world we live in. But so the question really is, okay, now that the Supreme Court's made this ruling, and if the Democrats, take over, maybe Kamala will be Queen Kamala for life. She's only 59 years old. She can hang around for a long, long time. Just saying. Is that what you meant? Prosecutors understand the law and they understand the rules and they follow the rules. And if you just said basically you can break the rules anytime you want to and there's no criminal punishment for that. Ooh, I get to be the felon and no crimes. Huh. Don't tempt me. So let's see. How are the conservative justices feeling now that Kamala Harris is your presumptive Democratic nominee for the presidency, and could very well be the president with these new rules put in place? Biden is very much a rule follower. He would never. It's hard to picture a scenario where Biden would, install himself as a king or something along those lines. That's just not his jam. But a more ambitious person who's not afraid to flex on these rules of power might be different. It might give their Supreme Court justices pause. So let's look at those Supreme Court justices. Entertainment purposes only. Okay, so they're at a crossroads here. Decisions made. And, you get the good and the bad with those decisions. Now, mind you, again, for Democrats, they typically wouldn't install themselves as absolute rulers. I would not say the same thing, sadly, about conservatives in this day and age. Maybe some wouldn't, but there's an awful lot that seem like they would. Crossed with the star card. The best of America. Yeah, I think, and then temperance. Honestly, these rulings were done to help Donald Trump and to get his court cases delayed. And I think the Supreme Court counts on the fact that any decision that Kamala Harris or a Democrat would make would be challenged and would go to the Supreme Court. And currently, the conservatives hold the majority in the Supreme Court, so they could undo what a president does. But here's the thing, there's nothing stopping the president from wielding power that defangs the Supreme Court. Oh, there's a wait and see attitude here. With the Star card and the Temperance, though, with the Supreme Court, I would be really concerned, because this is like they made their decision, and now they kind of have to live with the consequences of that decision. It's not going to go the way they thought it was going to go. They've opened doors for the Democrats that they didn't think the Democrats would walk through, but you've given them the opportunity to do so. And it's going to be a while before you can undo this. I do wonder, though, if underneath this all, this will force legislation to go through the House and the Senate on this. Don't underestimate the fact that Congress can pass laws to limit the power of the President of the United States. Look at all these major arcana here. In the past, the Lover's card, this was done as an absolute favor to Trump, and as a way from, this is your gift from Alito and Thomas to the conservatives of the United States. This is it. This is the time to turn the United States to a Christian nation. Here we go. We're right there knocking on the door. Current situation, the King of Pentacles. To me, it's like, why did this happen? Because there's a lot of big money supporting the Supreme Court. Harlan Crow comes to mind. And that's what they want. The American oligarchs want to be in charge. And they've got the Supreme Court. So they've got the tiebreaker, and they've got control of the Supreme Court with the current justices in there. Overarching energy is the victory card. Now, again, the question was supposed to be, how are they going to feel about this? I'm not really getting a feel for it. What I'm getting is the background story of that court being at a crossroads, and it took a while to get the court to the 6-3 majority that it's at. But now that we've got them there, we've got to take advantage of it. We have our benefactors with our Supreme Court justices. These benefactors, American oligarchs, want things the way they want them. They've got their Supreme Court in place, delivered a victory to Donald Trump and folks in that administration to protect him from criminal liability, which would probably also expose these massive donors to liability. But it was a reckless decision because it was working under the assumption that the Republicans would gain back power. And if the Democrats gain power and opt to use it, the Republicans are going to be in a bad way. Because what this could do is, we're going to spawn all sorts of investigations into these big donors. They're going to find out. They were reckless with this decision. It's going to open up a Pandora's box. And I think the members of the court and their backers are going to find out. They effed around, and now they're about to find out. Okay, so now that opens up some new questions to me. The first, not the least of which is the original question I asked. What do the conservative members of the Supreme Court feel is going to happen if Harris is elected as President of the United States? How are the conservatives on the court going to react to that? Let's see. Seven of Swords. Oh, that's not good. How are they going to react to it? Seven of Swords. Trying to sneak away. Corruption. Crossed with the Queen of Cups. and the Two of Wands. There are going to be some who try and sneak away into the night. How are they going to feel about this? Yeah, there's going to be some folks distancing themselves. They've basically trying to keep a lid on things too. This will be like a denial about what they were doing. Try to keep a lid on things, stonewalling. I do think that it's going to lead to investigations into corrupt actions done by members of the court. In the Queen of Cups, you can think of this as recusals and ethics and things that, John Roberts has lost control of this court. I think the corruption is going to be out there for folks to see. Yeah, you reap what you sow. They've how are the conservatives feeling about this? They took a chance and they got caught. They got caught with their hands in the cookie jar. And there could be investigations. There could be cover-ups. Expect that there's going to be cover-ups here as investigations begin. There's going to be announcements of investigations. Maybe announcements of retirements. I'm telling you, Alito and Thomas want to retire, but they can't do it until they have a conservative president, and they may not be able to last that long. There's going to be a lot of messaging about investigations, and there's going to be a lot of broadcasting about those investigations going in there. This would be something that actually would be televised. They did Eight of Swords, a lesson to be learned. You reap what you sow, and you're stuck with your decisions. You've tied yourself to this. Oh, and there's going to be strong actions taken. I fully expect that there's going to be investigations into the actions of this Supreme Court. Expect that there's going to be investigations. I've thrown on that previous, and that would be one of those things where it may not be Jack Smith per se, but expect a special counsel, which are clearly constitutionally not legal, right? According to Clarence Thomas. Expect a special counsel to begin investigating corruption in the Supreme Court because of decisions like this. And it's not going to be difficult to look at Harlan Crow and all the money that's in there and then find out basically who the sponsors of the Supreme Court are. There's a lot of Supreme Court. Brett Kavanaugh had bills paid off, gambling debts and stuff like that paid off. I believe his mortgage was paid off. Now I'm repeating what other people have said. I haven't researched this out myself. Maybe I'll do that right now. Quick pause. Okay, doing a quick Google search. It's unsubstantiated. They can't confirm or deny. Basically, he had between $50,000 and $200,000 in debt in 2016, and it was paid off a year later. Kavanaugh was saying that Washington Nationals baseball tickets or stuff like that he had, and that friends paid him back. And I guess apparently the Kavanaughs have some wealth, and that could have explained it as well. But he's never been clear on how those bills got paid back. So it doesn't get him out in the clear, shall we say. It's certainly something to be investigated, because all you have to do Brett, is just tell us who these friends are, and we're going to go interview them, and they're going to show us how, the money that they paid you back under oath. And do you think his friends are going to want to lie to the FBI under oath? That gets you thrown in prison for something. If you haven't done anything wrong, why would you take the fall? Just saying. Okay. All right. One last little follow-up on this one. Will the Supreme Court... just final energy around the Supreme Court with investigations. What's going to be the impact on the Supreme Court if investigations are started against the members of that court? A little four-carder to end this. Knight of Swords. Those investigations actually would happen rather quickly, and it could lead to very quick changes here. Magician. Things are going to be found out. You're going to start understanding the power brokers behind these folks. Excuse me. Sorry, residual COVID type stuff. It's going to be broadcast. It's going to be reported on. This is not something that's going to be, well, you start off secret, but it's going to be revealed. The results of the investigations will be revealed. And they're going to look at the money, and they're going to follow the money. There's going to be money problems here. Oh, God. And it's the corruption. The absolute corruption of the Supreme Court. When the investigations start, it's going to be looking at the corruption and look at the web around the Supreme Court. Who's controlling whom? There's going to be overseas things will happen overseas. They'll look at bank transactions overseas. They're going to understand how the money was moved around, who received money, who received gifts. Basically, what's going to end up happening out of this is there's going to be a lot of failure to disclose information, tax implications. The same thing that got Capone was, the not paying your taxes and not declaring things. That's what's going to be the crime that puts these people in prison. Whether it's Supreme Court justices, I wouldn't expect to see Supreme Court justices thrown in prison. I expect to see them resign in shame, but I would expect the big donors, and not only that, but then the Supreme Court justices need to report all that stuff and pay taxes and penalties on it. But then I think the donors are going to find themselves in big trouble for their actions. If any of those have taxable consequences, they're going to be held to account on those as well. So justice is coming. It may not be coming quickly. We have to get through the election first, and we have to get a majority in the House and the Senate, as well as hold the presidency, so we can start fixing the biggest fires in this country. And right now, there are a lot of them. Do not be discouraged. Get out and vote. Get like-minded people out to vote. You can do this. We can do this. And there's more of us than there are of them. So if we get out and do our part, we will succeed. We'll leave it here. Thank you for watching this video and supporting my channel. I hope you found this reading insightful, and I'll catch you on the next one. Take care.